everyone, my name is Ashley Dawn and I am so thrilled to have you back again today. Today's video is going to be about the evolution of awakening. Now, this is something that I would really wanting to share with you guys, and basically I want to break it down into digestible portions, and I'm going to break this down into 4 categories so that you can get a better understanding of where you are or where you're headed. Now, as the awakening process happens, this is going to affect every single one of us, all humans worldwide throughout the universe, because we are shifting and changing as a collective. So although you may not know if you're going through the awakening process or not, I'm here to tell you that you are, and it's inevitable. And we're all going to go on this journey together where we move from a 3-dimensional frequency of vibration and into a 4th and 5th dimensional frequency of vibration. And this is the awakening process. So first off, I'd like to start with the first of the 4 phases, I will call them. The first phase is being in the box. So what this means is that when we're in this phase, right, we're all very familiar with this phase. We've all been there, or it's very obvious to us. So I'll just describe it a little bit. We feel like everything is really real and happening, and we almost feel like a victim, and things just constantly get thrown on our path, obstacles all the time. Opinions that other people have about us are very real. Our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions are very real. And because everything seems like it's out of our control, it's a very uncomfortable place to be. And in fact, we actually end up suffering quite a bit. And so in this in the box place, we do what we're told, we go where we're told, we respond, we do the things that we're supposed to be doing, what we think we're supposed to be doing. And what it does is it's not very fulfilling for us. So it ends up creating a little bit of this anxiety within us, this depression, or this uncomfortable feeling within us, because we are not standing in our truth and we are not meeting our full potential. We feel really trapped in this little loop of every day getting up, doing whatever you do the same day, that making enough money to pay the bills, and then eventually die, right? And so we feel like frustrated that there isn't more, right? And so that is that 3-dimensional kind of space, right? So that's where we are, but I want to talk about where we're going. So the second phase is actually being outside of the box. Now, this is a 4th dimensional understanding. This is when all of a sudden you wake up one morning and you start questioning and you start asking yourself, where am I and what am I doing? And do I even like this job? And why has it all of a sudden started to feel like I am disconnecting from my friends or certain things that used to feel quite normal? Because as we go through this 4th dimensional phase, we are realizing that we are not our emotions and we are not our thoughts, and that we are separate from those things. Now, this is incredibly empowering, and we start to shift and change, and we find joy in little things, and we start doing more things that feeds our soul, be it like yoga or, exercise, cleaning up our diet, changing the people that we're around and spend our time with, right? We want more joy in our lives. But what also can happen is something called the dark night of the soul. Now, this is a term used when you didn't wake up one morning and say, what is going on? But the universe kind of slaps you upside the head. So you didn't come to the conclusion on your own, perhaps. You go through this dark night of the soul. And it is a very ominous sounding term, and it is. So what happens is everything basically just flips upside down and falls apart. Financially, relationships, friendships, your job, everything is like teetering on an edge and just ready to fall apart or has fallen apart, and it feels incredibly overwhelming. And this is designed to shake you to your core. Absolutely. And this is why sometimes people say the awakening process can be really painful and difficult. But what we're doing is we're molting, we're shedding, we're getting rid of this old version of us. And as I said before, we start to detach from our thoughts and feelings and see us as our true selves, our light body beings, as separate. We know that our emotions and our thoughts are our interpretations of a situation, but we are not our emotions. What someone said may have hurt my feelings, but I am not hurt. I'm Ashley, right? It is a response, right? So when this shift and change happens, we also start to feel like we're losing or ditching a part of ourselves. Now that triggers a warning flashing light in our brain, because our brain, by this point, typically, we've not taught it or conditioned it to sit down and be quiet, but we've just now started to tell it that I am separate from my thoughts, which means I am separate in some aspects from what I used to think and what I used to believe. So any big real changes to the ego or to the core or how our brain functions sends off a bunch of red flags. This is how we end up sabotaging ourselves, right? So we're still in this four-dimensional questioning everything phase, which is fabulous, right? We're outside of the box. We're outside of these confinements, right? But we start doubting and questioning everything. This stirs up within us all of the old fears and all of the old traumas that has happened in the past. So now we are forced to face what I call our shadows, and a lot of people call this shadow work. So we're still in that fourth dimensional phase where we are questioning and just like wiping down all these limiting beliefs and stuff's falling apart. And again, it doesn't have to be a chaotic, painful process. And because everybody's going through this now all at the same time, it doesn't maybe have to be the same or like some of us that had these experiences like 10, 20 years ago. It may be very different as we do it all together now, but my point is that as we start to shift and pull away from parts and aspects of ourselves, our ego and our brain start throwing out all kinds of nonsense because we feel comfortable in what we used to do and what we used to have, right? We feel comfortable even though we had a little bit of suffering and we didn't enjoy the job and the grind in the third dimensional understanding. And now we realize that I want a job where I can help people and I feel like I have a purpose, right? And we want that. Our brain will start sabotaging ourselves and saying, but the last time you took, a leap of faith like this, you failed, or you might not get paid very well. Or we start bringing up old traumas, where somebody told you that you weren't good enough, and so although that is incredibly frustrating, we're not deliberately trying to sabotage ourselves. These are rising up within us because these limiting things, these blockages, keep us in that lower vibration. And there's no way to get out of that 3D until we get to this stage, and we have to deal with all those. Those can't go unnoticed. They have to be dealt with. So here's how you do that. So you have your trauma. It comes up. And what we have to do with shadow work is face it, look at it, honor it for exactly what it was, which was an experience that provided emotions and thoughts, and those taught you lessons. They have value to them. Now we're no longer going to allow them to hold us down or have power over us. We will take responsibility for the role that we played in this circumstance, or the things that we said or did, and we will learn from them and do better next time, but we will cut the cords or the ties that link us to this negative feeling. We'll no longer hold it, so we let it go. And that's what shadow work is all about. This spikes your struggles and your frustrations and your trauma, but this can help you recognize those old burdens of guilt, attachment, and negativity, and all the patterns that you now recognize that can help you heal and move forward. So here are some things that may help you do that if you're in the middle of the dark night of the soul. 1, be still. So what I mean is be still, meditate, reacquaint yourself with this new version of you, right? You need to reacquaint yourself. What does this new version feel like? How do they respond to things, right? So this meditation process really helps you cut cords, do your shadow work, but also reacquaint yourself with you, this new version. The second thing is your shadow work, which I already discussed. And the third thing would be sending love and light. Send love and light to the old version of you. It wasn't that it was wrong or bad or anything. It was just you were learning. You were going through a process, right? So send that version of you love and light. And then embrace this new version of you, this awakened version, this outside of the box excited version of you. Send that version love and light, right? Because they're on a new adventure and they need the same love and support. Okay, so now we're moving on to the next phase, which I call there is no box. So we were inside the box in 3D, we were outside of the box in 4D, and now we're at a space where we realize that there is no box, right? Now this is fifth dimensional vibration or frequency. This is what we're trying to all collectively move towards. So here are some of the traits that you will recognize when you have reached this point in your awakening. Total perception shift. You come to realize that there is no separation between you and the outside world. You once believed that you were a body in a large and vast universe, and now you realize that the vast universe is within you. There is no point where you end and the universe begins. Now you may start to see little moments and recognize little small, profound moments of beauty, right? So one of my best examples is recognizing and stopping and really recognizing the absolute beauty of a flower. Now, some people would walk by and think it's just a weed, but you stop and you look and you're like, wow, that is a beautiful, vibrant, bright flower. You would not be capable of recognizing the beauty in that flower unless you had begun to recognize the beauty within yourself, because you recognize yourself within the flower, right? The flower is you and you are the flower. And so the third dimensional self, the fourth dimensional self even, may have walked right past the flower. We were so preoccupied and caught and trapped within ourselves that we didn't even realize the world around us, or that it is a part of us and we are a part of it, right? And so this is that fifth dimensional kind of frequency or mindset. This provides a ton of freedom for us, right? There is no need for attachment. Whatever happens is simply a lesson. It's simply meant to be. If it's negative, we get to learn and do better and gain wisdom. If it's something positive, it feeds our soul, gives us joy, and everything that happens just happens, right? Now we can control, we have free will choices, we can control, make decisions, everything's a choice as well. But if we choose wrong, it's okay. We get to learn and we get to pick ourselves up and move forward. This is a very fifth dimensional thought process, right? You begin to have a great love for yourself. You see the whole world as yourself, and therefore love everything as you love yourself. Compassion and understanding becomes a part of every experience, and you want nothing to do with attacking other people or judging them, because it would be kind of like you judging yourself. This self-realization helps to collapse self-projection that we do on others. So we constantly project our pain and trauma, snapping and lashing out of people. We see that all the time, right? That is them projecting out onto others, right? And we stop doing that when we have reached this level of understanding. You eventually stop blaming anyone else but yourself for any problems, and you take responsibility for them. When you get triggered by something that is a negative comment or negative experience, you choose to go inward and reflect, and you start asking yourself questions like, why did that trigger me so much? What do I need healing for? And my anger, I got very angry at a situation that seemed small. So let me trace back and see where this has happened again, because that's the core of the issue, right? We start asking ourselves these questions. That self-reflection is powerful. That is how we see that we are connected to everything. And when we can fill ourselves with love and compassion, it oozes out of us. By raising our vibration, we have an effect on the whole collective and everyone around us. Right? So you stop trying to change the world around you and you start working on yourself. Any suffering that occurs is simply recognizing an opportunity for healing and an opportunity for freedom. So fifth dimension is amazing. And I'd like to point out that it is not a place. This is a state of consciousness, a vibration inside of us that we are shifting and changing to. So those are some of the levels, but there is one left. This is the sixth and higher dimensional vibrations. This is how my guides helped me to describe it to you. So we said that you were in the box and then out of the box, and then you realized that, oh my gosh, there was never a box. You know, I put myself in a box and I pulled myself in a box and I realized there was never a box to begin with. So now we are at this phase where I kind of titled this phase, The Box Simply Is. And now we're saying, yes, there is a box. It simply is. It is a tool, and without that tool, we would not have been able to have shifted and changed and learned and evolved over time. So we needed to believe that there was a box, and we needed to believe that there wasn't. And then we needed to believe that we were outside and then inside. And so yes, the box simply is. It is neither good nor bad. It is simply a tool. It's a lesson, right? So here are some of the things to describe that sixth dimension higher vibration. Enlightenment, a change in perspective, the end of suffering, and creating a clear perception. The recognition that the answers that we were looking for have always been within. No longer being triggered by anything big or small, and you have an overwhelming sense of love and connection to yourself and everything in the universe. There is no such thing as I. If there was, the I would mean that there are others, but I am them and they are me. Now, this is a huge understanding of how we connect to our guides, our spirit guides, our angels, right? They are within us and we are within them, and we are all organically connected because we are all energy, right? And that is, of course, why I started this off by saying we are all going through this shift, this vibration, this change, right? So I hope I shed some light on the awakening process. Of course, this is way oversimplified, but I just wanted to give you an idea of where you are and maybe where you're headed. And that way it's digestible, breaks it down, and you guys can kind of see in a really easy map of, what's really going on and what's happening. And each one of those phases has many, many symptoms, I'll call it. You got emotional roller coasters, and then physical funny things like your ears ringing and tingling and powerful dreams and crazy meditations. And it's magnificent, it's beautiful, and it's all exciting, and it's all good. I also wanted to point out that sometimes, even though you have kind of worked on yourself and you've really made it to this fifth dimension or this fourth dimensional way of living life, we're human, and it is okay when you slip and you slide and you fall back down into that third dimensional self and you start freaking out about how you're going to pay these bills and anything else, right? Instead of just sending it out to the universe with love and light and saying, this is what I need. It'll be provided, and just knowing and manifesting it, right? It takes a lot of trust and faith to do that. We're human, and that's okay. It's okay to slide back down some of these scales, but this is the direction that we're heading in. I'd also like to point out that it's really important to have compassion for those that are stuck in the 3D. We know that they struggle, they operate on fear constantly, they're unhappy, they don't understand why. And so those of us that are not in that state anymore, it's really powerful and easy for us to shine light in their direction and show them some love and kindness. And maybe, who knows, that may be the very seed that they need planted so that they can move on themselves. So anyway, I hope you got everything you needed out of this video. It was exciting and fun for me to share with you guys. If you guys have any comments or questions, please put them down below. I would love to answer them for you. And as always, love and light, my friends.